Good day, participants. Welcome to our session for today on teaching learning activities for modular distance learning. Learning activities, as the name suggests, are activities designed or deployed by the teacher to bring about or create the conditions for learning. In the context of MDL, or modular distance learning, individualized instruction is used, which allows learners to utilize self-learning modules or SLMs in print or digital format or electronic copy, whichever is applicable in the context of the learner and other learning resources like learners' materials, textbooks, activity sheets, study guides, and other study materials. Learners may access electronic copies of learning materials on a computer, tablet, PC, or smartphones. CDs, DVDs, USB storage, and computer-based applications can all be used to deliver e-learning materials, including offline ebooks. In this type of modality, the teacher takes the responsibility of monitoring the progress of the learners. The learners may ask assistance from the teacher via email, telephone, text message, or instant messaging. If it's possible, the teacher shall do home visits to learners needing revisions or assistance. And also, any member of the family or other stakeholder in the community needs to serve also as a para teachers. So again, just to emphasize, modular learning activities should be designed for independent study and individualized instruction. Thus, it has the following characteristics. Number one, it should be self-contained. Second, should be self-instructional. And of course, it should be well-defined. In crafting or choosing your learning activities, the following guide questions may help you to define the purpose of the activity. The first is, what do I want to achieve with this activity? The second, how will I achieve my aims? And the third one, which knowledge process is best suited to achieving my aim? This modality follows a structure. As you can see, there are two columns shown in the screen. In the first column are the guide questions, while in the second column are the descriptions of the activities. Now let's proceed to the first question. What I need to know. This will give learners an idea of the skills or competencies that are expected to learn in the module. Basically, it talks about the objectives of the lesson. The second question is, what I know. This part includes an activity that aims to check what the learners already know about the lesson to take. Meaning to say, it's the pre-assessment activity. If the learners get all the answers right, like 100%, he or she may decide to skip this particular module. The third question is, what's in? This is a brief drill or review to help the learners link the current lesson with the previous one. So in the context of modular learning, review is essential to emphasize connection or continuity of the previous lesson to the new lesson, just like the face-to-face modality. The next one is what's new? In this portion, the new lesson will be introduced to the learners in various ways. It could be in the form of story, a song, a poem, a problem opener, an activity, or a situation. The next guide question is, What is it? This section provides a brief discussion of the lesson. This aims to help the learners discover and understand the new concepts and skills. Then the next question is, what's more? This comprises activities for independent practice to solidify learners' understanding and skills of the topic. They may check the answers of the exercises using the answer key at the end of the module. The next question is, what I have learned. This includes questions or blank sentence or paragraph to be filled in to process what the learners learned from the lesson. In this part of the module, learners may engage in a self-check activity. This is also to validate learners' answer from the independent practice activity, wherein answer key was provided. So, even if they copied the answers from the answer key, the teacher can validate the answers in this section. The next section answers the question, what I can do. This section provides an activity which will help the learners transfer new knowledge or skills in real-life situations or concerns. So it's the application of concept or skill in real-life situation at home or in the community. The next section is about assessment. This is a task which aims to evaluate learners' level of mastery in achieving the learning competency. And after assessment, the additional activities. In this section, another activity will be given to the learners to enrich their knowledge or skills of the lessons learned. We call this one the supplementary activities or enrichment activities. And the last section is about answer key. This contains answers to all activities in the module. Here are the learning activities for modular distance learning using alternative delivery mode. One of the activities for modular learning modality is text reading. Reading is important because it develops the mind. The mind is a muscle, so it needs exercise. Understanding the written word is one way the mind grows in its ability. Teaching young children to read helps them develop their language skills. Reading helps children focus on what someone else is communicating. Reading activities are common in a modular learning modality. You can use different springboards to develop reading skills of the students. Some of the printed materials you can use are stories, poems, comic strips, and news articles. The pro-con grid or the pros and cons grid. This activity can help students to develop analytical and evaluative skills since it requires students to go beyond their initial position and reactions and then come up with a stand of the issue. An example, you pick a topic that leads itself to the idea of making a list of pros and cons of the issue or the advantages and disadvantages of the issue. Then ask the students to write at least 3 points in each side in bullet form. So 3 points for pros and 3 points for cons. Then after that, ask the students to make a stand through a paragraph composition. The concept map. A concept map is a visual organizer that can enrich students' understanding of a new concept. Using a graphic organizer, students think about the concept in several ways. Most concept map organizers engage students in answering questions such as, what is it? What is it like? And what are some examples? Concept maps deepen understanding and comprehension. Now, why do we use a concept map? 1. It helps students organize new information. The second is it helps students to make meaningful connections between the main idea and other information. And the third one is they are easy to construct and can be used within any content area. How to use a concept map. Take note that it is important to teachers to spend time introducing to younger students to charts and diagrams prior to using this kind of strategy, or making some examples before asking them to make their own concept map. There are several ways to construct concept maps. Most include the following steps. Like, you ask the students to model how to identify the major ideas or concepts presented in the selection of text while reading. Then, ask them to organize the ideas into categories. Remind students that your organization may change as you continue to read and add more information. Then ask them to use lines or arrows on the map to represent how ideas are connected to one another, a particular category, and or the main concept. Limit the amount of information on the map to avoid frustration. After students have finished the map, encourage them to write sentences on how each item made the connection between concepts. Then encourage students to use the concept map to summarize the idea. The Post-it Parade. You may post a question or prompt in your module that need to generate ideas or solutions. Students will write his or her answer in pieces of papers. This activity is one way of making learning fun while at home, because you are going to ask the students to create their own post-it. They can use any plain colored paper or white paper. Then ask them to cut into different shapes and sizes with a pair of scissors. Or if it's not available, they can just simply use the fold and tear technique. In each piece of paper, ask them to write one idea. After such, ask the student to paste these pieces of papers in one of the pages in their module. This activity actually one way of the teacher to get what sort of questions or concerns students may have in the issue or the topic. It is also a great way to generate takeaways from their experience. Problem solving skill is very important because we are dealing problems every day. That is why we have to develop these skills during the formative years of our students. There are several problem-solving activities that we can include in our module. Today, I'm going to share 3 of them. The first one is guess and check. This is one of the simplest strategies or activity. Students will just guess the answer using his or her mathematical skills. Here's an example of the problem. The title of the scenario is The Farmyard Problem. So here we go. In the farmyard, there are some pigs and some chickens. In fact, there are 87 animals and 266 legs. The question then is, how many pigs are there in the farmyard? So this problem will really require the students to do a lot of analysis, computation, and reasoning. The second is act it out or simulation. Students are provided with a scenario and then interact with people at the home who will respond to their choices and action as if in real life. After the simulation, the students reflect on the consequences of their choices and actions in response to questions stated in the module. The third, the brain test. It is a tricky puzzle game with a series of tricky brain teasers. Different riddles and tricky tests will challenge the mind of the students. This puzzle game will break the common sense and bring a new brain pushing experience, which allows the students to think outside the box and somehow develop their IQ. Another activity that we can give to our student is an output-based activity. One of the output-based activities for modular learning modality that I can recommend is the portfolio making. A student portfolio is a compilation of academic work and other forms of educational evidence assembled for the purpose of the following. Number one, evaluating work quality, learning progress, and academic achievement of the student. The second is determining whether students have met learning standards. The third one is helping students reflect on their academic goals and progress as learners. And number four, creating a lasting archive of academic work products, accomplishments, and other documentations. The challenge of independent and self-organized learning in distance education is quite high because of several factors affecting the learner's learning environment. So, we have to find ways on how to motivate students for them to engage in the activities in the module. We have to be creative and make our activities fun and exciting for them. We can apply a game design element in our activities. We call this gamification. Gamification is a new concept and is said to foster students' motivation to learn. Gamification in educational context tends to look at the learner's motivation, motivational learning behavior, or engagement in activities. Activities like puzzles, word search, and collect a badge are some of those engaging activities that we can include in our module. In a modular modality, we should give students the opportunity to do reflections. With this, we help students to engage in a deeper learning experience, allowing them to understand the value embedded in the topic and or its relevance to real-life situations, or understanding the process of learning and its impact as a learner, or to their family, or to the community. And the next slide are some ideas for students' reflection. This is presented in an online class platform, but we can still contextualize this in a modular modality. Here are some ideas for students' reflection. Number one, start with a powerful question. This question could be about their experience in answering the specific activity in the module or their learnings after answering all the activities in the module. Number two, let students tweet it out or express their feelings. Though it sounds like this activity is for an online learning platform, you can still use it. Like you can copy or print the format of the social media page, create status area, and let the students write their reflections in that space. For items number 3 and 4, it really needs internet connection. So basically, this is for online learning. Therefore, I will not be talking more of this anymore. Item number 3 talks about the use of Google Forms. And item number 4 talks about video reflections. So it really needs internet connection. Therefore, we proceed to item number 5. Item number 5 talks about sketch notes. You can ask students to make some sketches or drawings in the module and let them explain through writing what they are thinking. Number 6, ask the students to make a 1-minute paper. Instruct students to look for a timer, or if it's not available, he or she may use approximate timekeeping, or asking someone to count quietly for 60 counts. For that span of time, that 1 minute, ask the learners to write something about what he or she learned in the activity. He or she may write his or her reflection in the module. Number 7, differentiate reflections. This strategy is giving the student an option on how he or she will do his or her reflection. This is to address multiple intelligence or the uniqueness of learning styles. Here are some questions that you can ask from your learners. Now, you might want to know if the learners learned something from your activity or they are still having difficulty or trouble in understanding the concept. So your questions would be, what questions remained an answer in your mind after answering the drills? Or you want to know their takeaways after engaging in a series of learning activities. You may ask them to summarize the main point of the activity in one sentence. Or ask questions like, what was the most important thing you've learned in this module? Or, what was the most useful or meaningful thing you learned from this assignment? You can also have a sentence completion format like the following. The clearest point of this activity was, and then the blank, or what I liked best that helped me learn in this module is, then ask them to continue to answer. Another thing is, one thing that I wish had been included in this activity is, and then blank. And the last one, you can ask questions like, how do you think you will use what you have learned today in everyday life? Okay? Those are the things that I can share for now. Now let's proceed to an activity just to check If you learned something from our session, may I ask you to click the link in the chat box and answer the activity. All you need to do is to fill in the last column of the document. You will be working with teachers teaching the same subject. I provided a chat section in the template so you can communicate with your group while working. Okay, good luck. Thank you for your active participation. I'm glad that you really learned something from our session. So again, a big thank you to all of you and good luck to your next journey. So let me end the session with some reminders. Always remember that we are teachers and we have the power to change the world. We create other professions. Only brave choose to teach, and it takes a big heart to shape little ones. To teach is to touch a life forever. Good day, everyone, and God bless.